The PS3 still has life.
Sony has a foot controller.
Ooh, and GTA 5 source code costs as much as a 4090. Let's get into hot news gaming, everybody. I'm your Brett host.
And I'm Kyle.
That's what we call ourselves. Today's Friday, December 29, 2023. We've got lots of Sony news today, starting with nearly 2 million players are still actively playing their PS3 consoles. A leaked slide from the Insomniac hack shows that the PS3 has around 1.9 million players out of the 87 million consoles sold still actively using their 17-year-old console. I wonder how many of them are still the government who had them in that giant supercomputer cluster.
Pardon?
The information isn't very recent since it's from last February, but that is way more than most would expect, even me. But it makes sense since the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible and many PS3 games, unless ported to modern hardware, aren't playable without an emulator or streamed off of PS Plus. A Reddit thread revealed that some players use the console to replay old games like Spider-Man, Web of Shadows, the best Spider-Man game ever, or Infamous. But many more are using the free multiplayer that used to be a selling point over the Xbox 360. Games like Red Dead and GTA 4 still have servers running, which is shocking, and any game with peer-to-peer connections should also work. The slide also revealed that over 70 million players are still on PS4 and that 32 million are on PS5, which is impressive considering the console didn't hit 40 million units until July. Will Sony finally make PS3 emulation on PS5 a thing?
I wonder if it's compatible with the PS3.
It's compatible with my foot, I'll tell you that much.
It's not compatible with the PS3. But yeah, Sony has this weird new design for 2 gamepads that you control with your piggies.
Oh, like DDR.
4 or 5.
I don't know how many games they released.
The patent diagrams look like 2 giant trackballs you slap your dogs onto, while the second controller concept looks like a giant curve. Yeah, it's like that.
Oh, so I just need to
slap your dog on.
Are we good? Is this what
That's what
Sony
they wanted.
wants?
That's what Sony wanted. While the second controller concept looks like a giant curved touchpad that your feet rest on. Sony seems to be aiming for a controller that lets you play VR games without having to walk around or use a regular gamepad. Don't eat that. Put that down.
It's a jawbreaker.
Put that down. The use case would be for those with smaller areas to play VR titles without having to worry about tripping over the cat or accidentally punching, a hole in the wall. You ever do that?
My name's not Kyle.
What's cool about this strange idea is that it wouldn't just be limited to VR, but it'd also be functional in like racing simulators and other types of games that use foot pedals. Using the balls causes them to spin, which would be stopped by magnets or some other mechanisms as brakes.
I hate when my balls spin.
Which would also provide haptic feedback.
I don't like it when they vibrate either.
It also looks like several versions are being considered, like different ball sizes and how many balls you get to kick. Sony has a bunch of patents out there for PlayStation peripherals, but they also have some free games for you to download to kick off the new year. See what I did there?
I get it. I see what you did. Kicking off the new year, starting January 2nd, you can download A Plague Tale Requiem, Evil West, and Nobody Saves the World with your PS Plus subscription. A Plague Tale Requiem is the second entry in the Plague Tale series that follows 2 siblings and their perils finding their way through 14th century France. This one got a lot of love from critics and fans alike, so if you're not afraid of rats, maybe check this one out. I've heard really good things about the graphics.
I'm petrified of rats.
I got it for free on Epic Games, I believe, or I paid for it, Game Pass, something like that. I still have not played it. It's supposed to be beautiful.
I did actually try it. It scared me.
Because of the rats thing.
Because of the rats.
Well, the other offerings aren't quite AAA or rat heavy, but some people seem to enjoy the throwback beat 'em up Wild West, and even more for the 2D action RPG Nobody Saves the World. The former currently has a 73 on Metacritic, but users seem to like it, and with one user saying, I had fun punching demons into chunky salsa.
It's my favorite kind of salsa.
Chunky?
I like chunky.
Oh, I can't stand the chunks.
What do you go for? Restaurant style?
No, my wife got me like this sweet onion salsa one time. It was delicious. Nobody Saves the World scored even higher overall, with PC gamers saying, it's a bit flabby and messy, like me, though Nobody Saves the World is far more often than a delight. That was my interjection, not the original writers. I'd consider checking these out if you like action and adventure games. PS Plus subscribers will also get to download an exclusive Warframe pack that gives you a bunch of goodies to use. Kyler, you've streamed this game before. What do you think?
I love Warframe.
I know you do. You play it like every time your Steam notification would pop up, it would say you're playing Warframe. You also love Call of Duty.
I do love Call of Duty. And wouldn't you know it, a new PlayStation studio may be forming as several developers, including former Call of Duty.
Segue.
full circle.
I see what you did.
Former Call of Duty veteran are now listed as working for Sony Interactive Entertainment.
That's the PlayStation company.
The PlayStation, like the rice. LinkedIn profiles show that many new developers at SIE were once part of Deviation Games, including the founder Jason Blundell. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Sony partnered with the company in 2021 to build an original IP for PlayStation.
IPS5.
IPP.
It's good. Stored in balls.
Blundell left
It all comes back together.
Blundell left Deviation Games in 2022, though the reasons were unknown until now. Deviation Games has also suffered from layoffs, like many in the industry, with a third of the devs being let go. The rest were left to work on an unannounced project. Ooh, secret. But now it appears another third of the company has left to join SIE, many of which also worked on COD with Blundell. Blundell. Speculation about Sony cutting funding for this game has emerged, possibly failing to meet its standards like the KOTOR remake. Based on the information available, it wouldn't be surprising that Sony went for COD vets to build a new competitor in the FPS space.
Like BattleBit.
But it's an interesting move to build a new studio when reports hint at layoffs across all PlayStation studios. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, what you don't have to wait and see for is the reason for why
like
Sony...
the explosive?
Well, what you don't have to wait and see for is the reason why Sony won't stop remastering and remaking its IPs, which frankly are stored in its balls. Another set of leaked presentation slides from the Insomniac hack has revealed that Sony is making bank off these projects when released strategically.
I thought they were making games.
The slides show that Spider-Man PS4, The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, and several other titles all saw their remasters succeed when released near the end or beginning of a console cycle. More specifically, people are just as willing to buy a full-price remaster as when the game was first released. So if you want to blame anyone for the amount of remasters we've gotten in recent years, maybe look in the mirror or look at Kyler. Or, you could continue to be spiteful. Or we're conflating the people who buy it with the people who complain about it. And maybe they are separate groups, but you can't tell the difference because it's all just an amalgamation of internet complaints. Storing the balls.
Yeah. You know who is spiteful?
Tell me.
That is the leaker who released the GTA 5 source code. According to this new report, a modding group who bought the source code from the hackers had a falling out of sorts over profiting off the code.
They wanted money!
The group pulled their funds to purchase the code, well, except this guy, Kieran Austin, aka Tickle Me Pickles.
I really don't want to. That feels like an HR violation.
TMP for short.
Oh, because that's where it's stored in the balls.
Really running with that one today. TMP got the code for free, but still wanted to flip a profit for it. He tried selling it for $6,000 and attempted to scam even another person to add to his ill-gotten gains, but unfortunately for TMP, no one was willing to fork up the cash. I wonder if they were willing to spoon. He even tried selling it for as low as $200 to anyone willing, but got nothing. So he did what any spiteful dude would do and leak the source code. We're still waiting to hear from Rockstar officially, but we'll keep tabs on the story as it develops.
Also developing is a newly reforged partnership between Blizzard and Netease. Blizzard and Netease initially partnered before to bring Blizzard games into China, but a dispute between the two entities resulted in the license Blizzard needed to operate in the country being revoked in 2023. However, those issues may have been resolved with the departure of Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick. It took too long for that guy to go. Kotick is reportedly the reason why the original new deal fell through. Many speculated as such after Netease's CEO tweeted about a jerk tanking the deal. Netease even demolished a WoW statue outside of its Hangzhou headquarters to show how displeased they were with the result.
Are we sure it wasn't a mom statue flipped upside down?
I don't get the joke. Wow, got it. But with Kotick out, Blizzard is back in at Netease. That doesn't mean Chinese players can anticipate logging back into their Battle.net accounts anytime soon, as the company will need to reestablish the systems they once had.
And our last story of the day.
Tell me, baby.
It's about Lies of P, which is, as we all know.
I'm not doing it. That one's too easy.
But it's about the Lies of P possibly becoming the next video game adaptation on the silver and little screens. Developer NeoWiz has already announced plans for DLC and a sequel to the Pinocchio-inspired Souls-like, but the game's director revealed in an interview that several offers are on the table to take it beyond games. Beyond!
That's what Stadia said.
While they didn't clue us in on who's in talks for franchise rights, I'm sure there's something with Lies of P's world that could work on a streaming service.
Well, you know who is in talks right now? The community.
They're mad at
they had a lot of things to say about our first episode of Hot News Gaming yesterday, so let's get into the comment response.
They're quite spicy.
They spiced it up.
like Ice Spice and the Yacht Rizzler.
Last night we let the Rizzler talk. First up, we got the Indulger saying, I just understand the narrative behind the Starfield reviews. I'd hope you mean a don't in there. Personally, I've never enjoyed Bethesda games, but the initial impression and reviews of the game were insanely positive. I remember outlets and individuals alike universally praising Bethesda that they did it. Met and exceeded the impossible hype. IGN got blasted because they gave it a modest 7, the only outlet not absolutely singing its praises. Then all of a sudden the game was trash. What happened? Well, I don't think that IGN was the only outlet that gave it a mediocre review. But one of the problems that you have in the games journalism industry right now is that people can't experience games as new entities anymore. A lot of people grew up anticipating a new Bethesda title because they cut their teeth on Obsidian, Morrowind, Skyrim. All of that comes rushing in to frame that perspective, and I think a lot of people got into games and games journalism because of earlier Bethesda titles. And so you had the press saying one thing, and then the people who got it and don't necessarily love Bethesda for Bethesda, they were like, I can't get past the gameplay. I can't get past the narrative. It doesn't work for me. And then now that is part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of criticism come out, because the rose-tinted glasses of what people enjoyed previously has changed.
It's a nostalgia thing. Your clouded judgment is showing. Better tuck it in. Danny Loa Labs is 1139 says, we need more episodes where Kyle is Brett and Brett is Kyle. What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. If I'm not trying to fully lead the show, part of my brain switches off. And then you get lizard brain, Brett. And we got Alex Jenkins saying, if you're not 500 plus hours in Starfield, then you have no right to say it isn't good. I'm at 600 hours in and love it. It's my top 5 most hours in a game, and I've got over 250 games. Fallout 4, I've got 5,600 hours.
This has to be a troll.
That has to be
a joke.
Like, you're allowed to stop consuming something the moment you don't have fun with it. You don't have to finish a movie to be like, I did not enjoy that movie.
Some of my favorite games ever, I don't have 500 hours.
That is also the flip side of it. You don't have to invest tons just to really enjoy it.
A Murder of Crows says, I love Kyler being in my breakfast, but dude, you gotta watch some local newscasts or something. For long moments, you have a dead expression on your face. Like this is eating your soul. I know what I did. I know what I did wrong. I'm sorry.
Hickaror says, watch Brett's mouth while Kyle is talking. Brett is fighting hard not to mouth every word himself. Yeah, we rewatched the first episode yesterday and we realized what we were doing wrong. This is a new workflow for us, so pardon our mouths and our resting faces while we figure out how to co-host this together.
It's a fun little adventure we're going on.
And we got Wimmy saying Starfield was definitely not trash. It's empty, but not trash. It was a very good game and is going to get better. Fair, Baldur's Gate was an absolute banger this year, but let's compare Starfield to Cyberpunk. Launch dates, Starfield dumps all over Cyberpunk. Let's do that, okay? Because this Starfield's problem is that the core gameplay loop and the story are not compelling for a lot of people. That was not the criticism of Cyberpunk when it came out. Cyberpunk was missing some features. Cyberpunk was a buggy, glitchy mess. Cyberpunk did not work well on last-gen consoles.
Story and gameplay?
No, there were obviously detractors from that, but for the most part, people enjoyed playing Cyberpunk if they had a system that could run it. Mm-hmm. With Starfield, there are some like bugs and glitches, and yes, there are things that you can do to fix it, but you are modding in core gameplay elements, which is not what was happening with Cyberpunk. There were gameplay elements missing, like the Metro Trail system, but like now that it's in 2.1, I haven't used it a single time. It actually wasn't that necessary. And I still have tons of fun.
It's like the subway system in Spider-Man 2. Did you use that at all?
There's a subway system. I flew everywhere.
No, I understand kind of what you're trying to say about Baldur's Gate, but like we have to compare it to Baldur's Gate because it's a sprawling RPG with like spoken dialogue options. Like there is a comparison to be made, and I think saying something like Starfield was definitely not trash. You're doing the same thing I've seen other people on the internet do, where you're saying something as a fact, okay? We're trying to tell you that it is objectively controversial at the very least. It is objectively in a worse state than Cyberpunk.
In terms of gameplay.
Yes.
And like the desire for people to engage in the game. If your desire to engage in the game is my computer is not fast enough, that's a solvable problem.
Yeah, Todd Howard told us.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part. Bethesda, I guess Starfield also suffered from that.
Success. Anyway, Starfield sucks.
We'll see you back here on Wednesday for more Hot News Gaming. Our typical
dudes.
schedule is supposed to be Tuesday and Friday, but it just so happened that like nearly every public holiday is falling on a Monday recently.
And
so
we just decided to start this show.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Change your plans? See you on Wednesday. And then the following Friday, and then the following Tuesday.